Okay, we're officially live.
Start
but
when I'm looking down.
Well, we're not, because we said 8:30, so like we're not going to start talking yet or anything. What? You're the one that set the time, remember? Last week.
You're the one that sets the time. So why did you come down so early? Girl,
because
it's
if 10
minutes
live
early.
At 8:30, you have to.
It's 10 minutes
like,
early. Stop
start
acting so dramatic. Oh.
So mom can speak to me.
We don't use that word.
Yeah.
It won't let me invite.
They can see me down there.
Okay.
Hey.
Miss Kiki and First Lady Christine. This is my second time getting to see you today. Hi, everybody. Welcome. We're just kind of prepping. I'm trying to teach the girls as well about timeliness. And so we're scheduled for 8:30, but it's kind of like that. Hey, Mr. James. It's kind of like that when you got the keys to the church is supposed to start at 7:30. You can't get there at 7:30. You got to be there early to open the door. So put that down. And so we actually just kind of logged on a little bit early so that we could invite some friends. Gennie is producing this week. So Genesis is checking to make sure everything is good. You can see, Jen?
Yeah, it's moving slow. I hear you talking. I just think it's moving slow.
Okay. Give me 1 second.
Okay. Wait a second.
So give me a half a second and then we'll be ready. Soraya has a super phenomenal conversation for everybody.
I do?
Yes, you do.
Oh.
Yeah, tonight is going to be interesting.
Should I take my computer upstairs tonight?
We'll see. I had to check your phone.
So do you need a new sheet? Does this have a sheet in it?
So my
I don't know. I have to look at it. Hi, Miss Clark. Hey, Mr. James. So if you guys will just hang out with us for a few minutes, or even if you jump out and come back in, we're just kind of making sure everything is ready. So I clicked the button a little bit early so that I could have time to invite. And I'm trying to teach the girls timeliness. So I'm teaching them, if you have told people that you're going to start your live at 8:30, by 8:30, Soraya's going straight into her message. So in the meantime, we will kind of just talk, and tonight is going to be so interesting. Bless the Lord. Yeah. So this is going to be quite interesting, but I don't want, look, there's quite a few people. You remember Miss Clark from our church, and then she was Jen. Miss Clark is on. She says hello. Jenny's going to be on a little bit later. Jenny's going to close us out. Miss Clark, you'll want to stay on for that. You want to hear what she's saying. And Elder Blue is on. Miss Regina just joined. So you've got some people coming on, joining. Thank you all so much for supporting my babies and, in their venture. And they are learning and they're excited, excuse me, about what they're learning, what they're doing. Yes, ma'am. How's everybody out there? Are you guys staying safe? And hopefully you're staying safe. And yeah, Jen, come around real quick and wave at everybody, and then you can go back. Don't frown at me like that. So for those that don't know, that have kind of jumped on, that don't know what we're doing, every Friday night, we're going to be here every Friday night. And even that, we're still working out our timing. I try to not be one of those come on in the room people, but I do understand you got to kind of work that timing. And so if we say we're going to start at 8:30, I try to jump on so that we can get all of our technical issues. Jump in and say hi to Miss Clark.
Hi, Miss Clark.
That's still Genesis. She hasn't changed a bit. Alexandria Carr, I see you. I keep up with you on Facebook, but I've not seen you in so long. And your little girl is now a little lady and looking just like you. She's your little twin. So thanks for jumping on. We're gonna kind of just talk a little bit for a few more minutes before we. Miss Clark says she loves you. For a few more minutes before we actually jump in. Soraya's got some great things to talk to you. I miss you too. I miss you too. I'm extremely proud of you though and what you're doing. And I miss those days, but I'm so proud of you. I feel like a proud mama bird watching all my babies fly. And you don't remember what you're talking about? So yes, we can go ahead and give an introduction. Look who just joined. Auntie Tony's on, but look who else is on. Yes, Grandma Punch is on. So we're going to go ahead. We said 8:30, but excuse me, we're going to go ahead and start. And I said to everybody else that, yes, it is. This is your scrunch band, but you don't need it right now. I need you to focus. So just to give a little background, hi, Auntie Tony. Just to give a little bit of background of what we're doing. Genesis and I had a conversation on last week, and we talked about some areas of personal growth that we wanted to pursue, some things that we wanted to do and areas that we wanted to grow in. And I did a video this morning in another group, and God has just been dealing with me about being intentional, living a life of intention. And Elder Blue, wait till you hear Soraya today. And so these are called, and I forgot to type it in the title, but every Friday night at 8:30, Soraya and Genesis and I have just made a commitment to each other. And we are going to be doing intentional moments with mommy. And this is our journey. This is more for us than anything, pulling us out of our comfort zones, allowing us to do some new things. But then also, hi, Auntie Dawn. Hi, Miss Jackson. Miss Jackson is on. But also allowing you to share in our growth journey. Auntie Cindy's on.
Jackson, I haven't been outside in like forever.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
Okay, I'll explain to you who Miss Jackson is when we finish this, and you might remember while we were talking.
Okay.
Actually, no, we're not intentionally twinning. We didn't realize it until when we sat down, and I was like, "Hey, Rye, look." So it just kind of worked out that way. Hey, Miss Pam Pritchett, how are you, babe? Love you guys so much. So every week we're talking about something different. So last week, if you jumped on, Genesis and I talked about being intentional in prayer. And Gennie shared her testimony of how God blessed her when she prayed with intention. There's Miss Gabby. Hi, Miss Gabby. And so tonight, Soraya and I want to talk about something that we have been growing in, that we have been doing better in. I'm so glad. Hi, my sissy Val. I'm so glad that my mama Eagle is on because, and I think my dad is going to jump on later, but the two of them are, Grandma Punch.
Oh.
The two of them are probably going to dance around their houses as I talk, because they're going to be saying, bless Jesus, she's finally getting it. But Soraya and I have been working on something this week. Hi, Miss Latasha. Hi, Auntie Keisha. Soraya and I have been working on something this week. And Auntie Keisha, you're probably going to have input as well. If you have input, Genesis is watching the comments because she's producing tonight. Mm-hmm. And Soraya, would you like to tell our friends and family what we're talking about tonight? What are we talking about tonight with intention? Our intention this week was to work on learning how to control what? You got to look at the camera and talk out loud.
I control my emotions. My emotions don't control me.
So that's been our saying of intent for this week. I control my emotions. See? My emotions don't control me. And what's our scripture for this week? Where do we base our scripture and our talks this week? Look at the camera. I can do what?
Oh, I can do all things through Christ that strengthen me.
I can do all things through Christ that strengthens me.
I can
That's
do
what
anything.
Soraya and Mommy have been working on this week. That was our intention. So every week we have a different intention that we focus on. We have something different in areas of personal growth that we focus on. And then we come and we invite you to join us in our growth journey. So Soraya and Mommy have been working this week on the intent and being intentional and controlling our emotions. And we know that we can do that because the word of God tells us that we can. Soraya, talk to me a little bit about what I love about God is I knew that this was what God had placed on my heart for this week for Soraya and I. But then on Wednesday, Soraya had an appointment and look at the camera. What do you remember what you and Miss Vanessa talked about on Wednesday?
Emotion.
Emotions, right? And what did you and Mommy talk about? Emotions. What's another word for emotions? That's our what?
You just said it a little bit. Feelings.
Right. So emotions, that's our feelings and how we feel. And we have all kinds of different emotions and feelings, right? Hi, Auntie Faith. There's Auntie Faith joining in. So we talked about our different emotions. We have good emotions, happy emotions, right? What makes you happy?
Popcorn.
Okay. Okay. I can't think of a good example to talk about with that one. So I'm going to do the one we did this week. Y'all, just so you know, I don't know where we going to go tonight. Auntie Tony, yeah, this is the thing. Like, that's why I said you guys are invited to learn and grow with us. I said last week, I cannot come out of this the same way I am. So just so you all know, there's no telling where this conversation is going tonight.
Nope.
So yes, popcorn makes Soraya happy, but I can't think of nothing. So the example that you and Mama used this week, what makes us happy is like we like to see Papa, right?
Oh, yeah,
I don't think he's
hugs.
on yet, but yes, we love Papa. And what else makes us happy?
Hugs.
Hugs. But so when Papa comes to bring something to drop something off because of what's going on right now, can we hug Papa like we really want to?
Hand hug.
Okay. But like, can we put our arms around him and hug him the way we usually do? No. And so even though we're happy, we have to what?
Stop saying stick with popcorn. Come on, Shannon.
I can't think of listen. It took enough for me to get this much of this rehearsed. I can't think off the cuff like that.
Like her. Shannon.
Y'all see what I did with?
I have.
This is why I decided to let y'all in on our lives. Come on, sit up. So we have some other emotions, right? And we have to
control them.
Yes. Excuse me. We have to control them. We have to acknowledge, right? We have to admit that the emotion is there and we have to control them.
Yeah.
What are some other emotions that we have? What makes you sad? And I'm scared to ask this, but we're gonna go for it. What makes you sad?
When you don't let me eat popcorn.
Okay, so when I don't let you eat popcorn, that makes you sad. We can go with that.
Yeah.
So what are some things that you can do to control that emotion of being sad?
Go and eat salad and then eat popcorn.
We're gonna go with that. So it makes
me to eat something healthy first.
Hey, Mr. Rob. So it makes Soraya sad when Mommy does not let her eat popcorn. Then she makes a better choice, right?
Yeah, and then I eat popcorn.
Okay, we gonna okay. What is the big emotion that we've been talking about that you talked about with Miss Vanessa? Sometimes our emotions or sometimes things happen that make us what?
Mad.
Very upset, very angry. It makes us even mad, right?
Yeah.
But when we get mad, can we just do whatever we want to do because we're upset or angry or mad? No, because we have to take what?
Control.
Control. We have to take control. And you talked about some really good things with Miss Vanessa and taking control. What are some things? Remember you and Miss Vanessa talked about taking your cool down? You remember that? What are some tips? So if you want to give some of our friends and family some tips when they're really angry and they need to take a cool down, what were some things that you came up with?
Dance it off.
Okay, look at the camera.
Dance it off.
Okay, dance it off, because dancing makes you what?
Happy.
Happy. Very good. Dance it off. Dance it out. What else?
Or eat.
So we had a side conversation about that too. Let me throw that in there. Unfortunately, I got convicted again. I'm telling y'all, I have been getting so convicted dealing with my children, because I realize they are learning from me. So I'm trying to now convince my child that when you're upset, eat is not the answer. But I'm realizing I can only say but so much to her, because she learned that from mommy. And that's what I do. So that's a whole side note. That's a whole nother, that's an adult class type thing, right? Okay, so dance it off. We're gonna put eat on the shelf for right now. Okay. What are some, but there was a very, very important one that you talked about with Miss Vanessa, and she had you practice it. And sometimes when you get really frustrated or upset or angry with mommy, what was something that Miss Vanessa told you that you can do?
You count from 10.
Okay, very good. You can count from 10. You stop and you take that time and you cut. And I mean, you count, but what you got to focus over here and right there. One cup of popcorn. Okay. Hi, Mama Carolyn. Okay. So, and we can do that too, right? We can make compromises. But
okay.
Do you remember what else? Remember, I was sitting on the bed. I was sitting across the room, and Miss Vanessa told you to practice it. You can, when you're really upset with mommy and you and mom, you can ask mommy for a hug, right? Because when you're really, really, really upset and mommy is really, really, really upset, and we're both in our emotions, it gets real bad with us, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Doesn't get so good. And so what Miss Vanessa said is you can ask mommy for a hug, because just because I'm upset with you, does that mean that I don't love you?
No.
Mm-mm. And so in that moment when we're really, really upset, and you stop and say, mommy, can I have a hug? Then I have to stop being upset, and I have to do what?
Give you a hug.
I have to give you that hug.
And give me a hug.
Yes. And you have to give me a hug. I have to give you a hug. And that takes us back to our happy place, because it makes us think then, not so much on being upset, but it reminds us how much we what? Love each other, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so what I want you to do, look. Does anybody else have questions for Soraya? Mommy's going to talk some adult talk for a second, and then Jenny's going to come on and share.
Confused.
But yeah, confused. That's really good, right?
No, I'm confused.
I thought you were just coming up with that to tell me it was a different emotion.
No.
Okay, come
What
back.
is adult
Come
talk?
back. Come back. So, okay, let's talk about this. That was such good. I could not have planned that if I would have written it in a script, right? So, confused is a valid emotion. So, when you are confused, what is something that you can do? What did you just do?
Ask you.
You asked, right? And what does mommy always tell you?
Not really. I just said confused, but yeah.
And then you asked me, what is adult talk, right?
Yeah.
So if you're confused and you don't know the answer to something, what do?
Ask.
You ask the question, right?
Or you just continue on thinking about it.
But that's not going to help you not be confused anymore.
Oh. Don't look at me like that.
I told y'all didn't know. We didn't know we was getting with this one. I told y'all. So Gennie typed. So Gennie is being producer, but you spelled your name wrong. So she typed in the comments, Gennie is being producer. Yes, but Jenny's going to come over and join us in a second. So really quick, because I know your brain is kind of getting tired of this. I can already tell. Your brain is exiting the room. So
Brain has left.
Now
Brain has left the chat.
Pretty much. So is there anything else? Come here. So Auntie Tony wants to know, what are some more tips that you can give her to help? She is very silly tonight, all the time. Auntie Tony wants to know, what are some other tips that you can give to help her in her emotions?
You take mommy's spinny thing and you spin on it until you get dizzy and laugh it out.
You can laugh it out. You can find something to laugh about. That's very good. When you're sad, when you're angry, you can find something to laugh about.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good. Okay.
It doesn't make yourself dizzy.
Okay. So now you've done great, but I can tell you're over this. Your brain don't want to do this no more.
I've
You can take a break.
exited the chat.
You did a wonderful job. Thank you. I appreciate you. Do you want to say goodbye to everybody?
Goodbye!
That's who we're dealing with. Right. Take that in the family room because I know you're going to put it on.
I have headphones.
Huh?
I have headphones.
Yeah, I don't want to risk it. Take it in the family room and then you can come back out. For real, for real. So you can stay here with me if you would like, or because I'm going to bring you on. Gennie has something so super great to tell you guys, but I want to share this really, really quickly. And I hope and pray, Mama Eagle, if you're still on, type in and let me know.
It's too dark.
Turn the hallway light on.
Come on.
Okay, that's fine. You can stay there. Put your earphones on then, and I don't want to hear it. Mama Eagle, if you're still on, type and let me know you're still on. I am so grateful to God for placing people in my life to help me grow. And normally this is supposed to be the girls' time, but I have been so, Faith, I was hoping you would bring up the hair. You know, I didn't do that. Don't ask no questions that we don't want Papa to know on Facebook, but no, I didn't do that. Auntie Faith says your hair looks nice. But this is something that I want to share because God has been dealing with me. And so if there are adults on here, if there are parents that are struggling, because it's been a struggle, it's been work. And so when I work with my baby girl about controlling her emotions, I'm being completely transparent in admitting I could not teach her what I was not working on learning myself. And so I realized that I was in a place on last week. We had somewhat of a rough time, but I also realized that I was in a place that I had to do the work because her emotions would get to a certain place, but then I would allow my emotions to get to a certain place. And we were both on 10. And God convicted me one day so clearly and said, Shannon, are you now moving in the sake of correction for the sake of love, or are you disciplining out of anger? And it caught me, and it almost caught me off guard. And I was hoping and praying that my Mama Eagle was still on because I wanted to share. I started sharing the story on last week about just the changes in my life and what had happened and what had become. But I remember her saying to me so clearly, and I've already shared this testimony with her, when we were in Florida, just some things happened and she was talking to me, and yes, blessings in the quarantine. And Latasha, you do something called conversations in the quarantine. But as she was talking to me, one of the things that she said that I will never forget, and she said, you can't beat somebody for how they feel. And we went through some things, and my dad was here, and my dad was, talking, and literally like Papa had to come in and kind of do some Papa stuff. And my dad was talking, and what I remember so vividly is he was so calm, he was so cool, and just was like, this is the way it is, and this is what's going to happen. But he never got emotional. And as time went on, what I noticed was that things went so much smoother as I began to control myself and control my emotions and do the work. Are you watching?
She watching. No.
No, go produce. I'm gonna call you over here when I need you over here. When I began to do the work, it was so much easier and things went so much smoother when there was consistency across the board. And so if there is someone out there like me, parenthood may not be where you're struggling or where you're working in it, but wherever it is that you're having to do the work to say, me getting emotional and me not knowing how to control my emotions in this situation is going to do nothing but make it worse. Me not knowing how to control myself. And so often we as the parent allow ourselves, or I can only speak for me, I would allow myself to go to 10, and now nothing is being effectively done because as the parent, I'm moving in my emotion. And now as the parent, I'm not correcting in love, I'm disciplining in anger. And when I started learning that fact, it has made such a difference in my own life, in my own household. Hi, Auntie Jay. Hey, Koa. It has made such a difference for me. I am so grateful. I think I saw co-pastor Connie on here, and Keisha, I wish your mom was on here. I remember Elvira Northington looking me in my eye in one of the roughest times, and I was just like, I can't do this anymore. And I said to Latasha on this morning, I felt like, because you got Gennie, who, when it comes to showing her emotions, Gennie is at like a 2. I'm at 18.9. And Soraya is 27. And so I felt like I was going through parental whiplash because I got one kid over on this side who's completely non-emotional, and I got to do the work to figure out what she's thinking, what she's feeling, what's going on. I got another kid over here who it takes very little to take her all the way up there. And if I did not learn as a parent how to balance and how to control myself in emotional situations, it did nothing for my household. And my household was falling apart. And I was blaming everybody else. I was blaming my kids. And it wasn't their fault. It was because me, as the parent, did not know how to control my emotions. And now I'm learning that as I learn how to control my emotions, God is now effectively helping my children and helping me to teach my children by example how to control their emotions. That being said, come on back, Jen. You better control your face. This one? Come on. So let me tell you something. This kid right here is the youngest 93-year-old. Genesis has a wisdom that amazes my mind. Genesis is that kid that I often stay prayerful, because going back to what I said before, like, I'm just realizing I can't parent. That's what I was saying. Mom Northington said to me, Shannon, you can't parent these kids the traditional way. Like, you just can't. And certain things that we were taught, and you just better knock some sense into them, that it wasn't working. It wasn't working in my house. And so this one, even in my parenting of her, what I'm finding is sometimes when she says things to me, it would be very easy. And I've had people say to me, a child is not supposed to talk to a parent like that. She's not disrespectful. And I say to her all the time, watch your tone. And y'all just tell me, watch your tone, watch your face. Don't come out the side. But I have learned with Genesis, if I allow her to speak freely but respectfully, it amazes me the stuff that comes out of this kid's mouth. And so I want Gennie to share, because I believe that there's someone that she has a word that it's going to bless. Mrs. Tasha, don't help her. But Genesis has a word tonight that I think is going to bless someone, and I hope and pray that it blesses somebody else the way that it blessed me. So go ahead, share.
I'm working a 9 to 5 job here. I'm working a 9 to 5 job.
What do you mean you're working a 9 to 5 job?
They've been paying me now.
I clicked start at 8:24. It is 8:49.
Yeah, but it feels like you've been talking for a marathon though.
Y'all see what I'm saying? Would you share the word to bless the people, child?
Where do I start?
But sit up because you talk quieter than me.
Where do I start? So I was getting my hair done today, and I brought up the conversation about racism in the world today with my hairdresser, Auntie Artie. And soon enough, the conversation turned to being wise and like mothers and motherhood. I talked to her about how when I lost my mother, I did not want anything to do with Mother's Day. That Sunday, I didn't want to get up. I didn't want to get dressed. I gave my mom a hard time because I lost Rebecca Denise Carter. And that was like heartbreaking because all I was living off of was short little memories. Then I told her that soon I realized that I'm literally crying and wasting so many years of my life over someone who's not going to come back. And at the end of the day, I can still love her unconditionally, but she's not coming back from the grave. She's going to stay up there with Jesus and watch me. So I started to be inspired and devoted to becoming someone like this woman right here. Trying not to cry, because I mean, she's been there since day one, and it's kind of hard not to love someone who loves you so much. That's all I got.
So at this moment, I can no longer control my emotions because she didn't say all of that when we talked earlier. These two girls are my life. And so I think it goes back to what I was saying before. We can't parent. There are just some things you can't yell, you can't scream, you can't holler, you can't beat into kids. You got to teach them right. You've got to live it before them. And you've got to trust God. And you've got to trust that God is going to take care of the situation. I say that because Genesis and I had this conversation after I did my Facebook post. So when you jump off of here, you can go on and look. There's a Facebook post of that I did earlier, where the funny thing is I finally, like Genesis and I, we had a big fight one year because I didn't understand, and I was in my feelings and I was in my emotions, and she was like, I just hate Mother's Day and I don't like Mother's Day because my mom is not here. And I was like, what do you mean? Like, I get it, but I've had Genesis since she was 2.5. And so I was in my feelings. I'm just being very transparent. I was in my feelings. I was in my emotions. And I was like, so what am I, chopped liver? And then all of a sudden, God sent some people into my life to help me get it. And then I lost my mother and I began to understand a little bit more. And so then I literally decided not to move in my emotions, and I began to pray. And the Bible says, if you lack wisdom, if you want wisdom, ask for it. And I said, God, I need you to give me wisdom. I want to raise my girls with wisdom. And I released her. And then we had a conversation and I said, baby, I get it. I can never replace Rebecca Denise Carter, and I will never try. And I said to her, you just happened to be blessed to have two mommies that love you so very much. And so if you want to take Mother's Day, and at that point, I moved myself back and I said, we don't even have to celebrate Mother's Day. And I let it go. And I moved myself back and said, I'm going to follow you. How do you want to roll in this? And there were some times we would go to church on Mother's Day, Sunday morning. I got a rose and then gave it to her and we would go. Do you remember that? But I always let her make the choice. And so I would get the rose and I would say, do you want to go? And there were some days she would say yes. And we would go to the cemetery. And she would go and visit the grave of her mother. And I knew that's something I can't try to jump in that. But as soon as, what's the old song? As soon as I stop worrying, that is something, it goes back to what I said earlier. You can't beat somebody for how they feel. And even children have feelings. Even children have emotions, and their feelings and their emotions are valid. And we are unfair as parents if we try to force consequences on our children for having valid feelings and emotions. We cannot force them how to feel. We can teach them how to control themselves in the midst of their emotions. And so it was not until Genesis and I had the conversation today, and she then said, Mommy, I just decided, like, I want to celebrate you. But I had to let that be her choice. And so I thank you, and I love you, and I appreciate you. Now go away.
Now go away.
Emotions.
Now go away. Scoot.
Oh, wait. Excuse me. You're going to come back for 1 second. Rye, do you want to come back and say anything to everybody? Right, that's what we'll do. Rye, you come to the side. So we're going to close out. We're not going to be on long. I tell you all the time, we're not on long. Tonight, we jumped on a little bit early. You scooching this way so you can be seen too. So this is what we're going to do. You're going to both close out in prayer. I want you, it doesn't have to be long. You know, we always say, yep, I'm going to tell you what you're going to do. You're going to pray for our family members and our Facebook friends who need God to help them in their emotions.
And who was that?
Just whoever. Just pray for emotions. Can you do that? Am I asking you too much?
I mean, I'm kind of 11, I don't.
That's okay. Does God hear 11-year-olds?
Yeah.
But I'm doing too much, aren't I?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna let it go. So that means you're gonna close us out in prayer. And I want you to pray for people who might be struggling. I know how it feels. You know how it feels. And so I want you to pray a really special prayer for people who are having to go through Mother's Day without their moms. We know how it feels. And so I want you to pray for them. Before Genesis closes us out in prayer, any questions, comments, concerns? Once again, thank you all so much for jumping on, for tuning in, for joining in. This is something we're doing, like I said, for our own personal growth. We'll be here every Friday night at 8:30. We already decided what we were talking about next week, didn't we? Do you remember what it is?
It's being comfortable with being yourself.
Yes. So next week is intentionally being me. I'll give you a pause for photos. Okay. So scooch in close. Auntie Tony wants a photo. Okay, I don't know how to do that. I'm hoping that was enough pause. Y'all know this. I keep telling y'all this is out of my comfort zone. You are silly goof. So next week we're gonna be back Friday night at 8:30. And
Mom,
next week what we're talking about is intentionally being me.
Mom, Miss Latasha gets me. Maybe maybe some popcorn after the video. Miss Latasha gets me.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
We can do that.
Yes.
We can do that.
Thank you, Miss Latasha.
We're making it. Not I.
All right. Go ahead and pray us out.
Lord, thank you for allowing me to be more than a prophet in my art. Thank you for giving me the wisdom of a 93-year-old. Now that I'm on 93. Thank you for Aunt Audrey. She lost so many people, and she's still smiling and walking in the church like everything is okay. Thank you for all the people who have lost their mothers. I hope you heal their sadness and fill their hearts with joy. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you all so much for joining us. We love you all so very, very much. And yeah, I started to do. We could have done popcorn during this, but Soraya cannot handle that. Soraya's not ready for popcorn during. But yes, I will go pop them some. I will go let them do some popcorn right now.
Yes.
And Auntie Dawn will probably call Chase. So thank you all. Thank you everybody just for jumping on with us. And we love you all so much. We'll be here next Friday night, 8:30. Intentional Moments with Mommy. Have an intentional week this week. Do everything that you do with purpose and intention. Yeah. And we love you and we'll see you next week. I can't close out if you have my hand.
Gennie, don't let her close out. No, don't let her close out. Did you hear what I said?
Wait, now the mouse won't work.
Ha ha ha.
We're stuck. Good night.